Hello, hello, hello. How are you today? Do you know when you get a spark, that creative spark of an idea, that is a message for you? Our higher self, our guides and our angels, as I call our peeps, they give you those sparks of creativity, those sparks of ideas for a reason. Do you pay attention? That's key. Hi, I'm Kelly Lee Sappenfield. I'm a fifth generation metaphysician, soul evolution coach, international speaker, and author. And I want you to realize that when you get an idea, when you get that spark of inspiration, it's like, oh, that would be cool. That's a neat idea. Have you ever thought about keeping a journal or a notebook or a file on your computer or your phone of those ideas and start just kind of putting them down? And if you'll notice, there's probably a theme around them. And you're going to get ideas and you're going to get sparks of creative intuition and things to do that are meant for you. Or if you're in like a mastermind group, you may get things for other people in your mastermind group. But today I want to focus on getting them for yourself. So when we write them down and we start taking notes of the ideas we get in this spurts of creativity and things that we can make, create, do, be, all of that stuff, when we start writing them down, it may be that, hey, I have this idea for a really cool way to decorate my office, let's say. Or I have this really neat idea on how to promote my baking business, or a new gift to create for somebody since it's the holiday season. It's like, oh, they would probably really like this. I can make this for them. Everything that you're given is given for you to you for a reason. That reason is so important because when we are tuned in and we're paying attention to the sparks of creativity, that those ideas that come into our head, even if they're like, I have no clue how to do that. I mean, I think it's cool, but where would I even begin, right? If we write them down, if you'll notice, Spirit gives us ideas and they build. And so if we just kind of like start focusing and saying, what are they all around? What are they all about? And just kind of focusing on, that's really cool. I wonder what it would take to create that. I wonder what I need to do to add something that I think would be really cool to my website. Or that could be a really cool side hustle, right? Maybe I could bring in a little bit of extra holiday cash if I did this. You never know how small or big that idea that you get, that spark of creativity, intuition, but it is a message. It's a message for you to act upon what makes you uniquely you and just share it with the world. Because we're not here to all be hermits in caves and not share things around with everyone else. So your idea may be about, hey, in the 1980s, most of us didn't own a computer, right? Now, very few people do not have access to a computer. So there's always that creative idea that sometimes morphs into something larger, like the internet. It was originally someone's creative idea. So everything, whether it gets to that grand of a scale or it just stays within you, because it's like, oh, you know what? I think I would really feel inspired if I went into my office, but the walls were a different color. Or I really feel like, you know what? I had this urge to go ahead and kind of do the research and plan out my garden for next spring, and to start doing that. And maybe you get a picture of in your mind's eye of what that garden's going to look like. And so you start researching plants and pulling out graph paper and laying it out and having fun with it. It doesn't matter whether it's just for you or if it's something that is bigger. But when we take note of those ideas, I call it an idea journal, because you get stuff. And I don't know what it is, but there's something about being in the shower, right? It's like, it comes in my head. And then by the time you get out of the shower, you're like, okay, what was that? And so they make these things called dry erase boards specifically for the shower that you can jot those down when you're in there, because it's a phenomenon that actually happens, right? Hi, Isis. So wherever those ideas come, jot them down. Use your voice recorder on your phone so that if you're happen to be driving, you can pick up your phone and just say, hey, idea, and record it so it doesn't come in and then go right back out again, right? And as you're jotting these down, some of them you're going to be really inspired to act on right away. Some of them you're going to be like, ooh, that's really big. I don't know how in the world to even begin that. So you write it down and you kind of let it just marinate, right, in your subconscious. And then you start writing down the other ideas that are coming, because when you're paying attention, and your higher self and spirit and your guides and angels, as I said, all your peeps, know you're paying attention, then they're going to say, okay, we may have given you this big idea, but now let's give you these little snippets along the way so that you can create your big idea. Or I'm going to introduce you to someone that's going to teach you maybe something, or introduce you to someone else that's going to help you manifest that big idea. But don't ever say, oh, that's too big for me to do. That's not mine to do. If it's given to you and you're not actively in a mastermind, then guess what? It's for you. So that's why we write them down, because I don't know about you, but I've got so many things going on, I can't keep track of all of it if I don't write stuff down. I have to have my daily to-do list, my weekly to-do list, my monthly to-do list, so that not only do I stay organized, but then things don't fall off that need to be taken care of, right? The last thing you want to do is to have something like paying your mortgage fall off your to-do list. So you need to have things in an orderly fashion, and writing them down and keeping a notebook or a file on your phone or whatever it is of an idea journal, it's going to inspire you in and of itself. Because once you start acknowledging it and spirit starts giving you more information, you're going to become more excited. You're going to become more in tune and be able to see the signs that spirit's giving you to help you create that big idea. Or maybe it's like, oh, that would be really, really cool to like a craft just to make for a decor item in your house. You get the idea and you're like, okay, but where would I get the supplies? And you're like, there's one specific thing I'm seeing in my head, but I don't know what it's called. And you start Googling it and you start researching it and you start trying to find those pieces, and that information will come to you. It will come into the forms of pictures or video on maybe a YouTube video. It doesn't matter how you find your pathway to create that you want to create. The point is that you're purposely, actively co-creating with spirit. Excuse me for a minute while I get a drink of water. We cleaned up our backyard this weekend, raked leaves, cleared up plants and all that and my allergies, right? The joys of moving back to a locale with falling leaves and the seasons where then it kicks in my allergies. So pardon me, please. Anyway, so as we go through this idea journal and we start writing things down and we start paying attention and we start acting on them, spirit comes in and gives you excuse me, all those great little tools. It could be, like I said before, the person. It could be the actual materials, to where you're at a shop that you wouldn't even fathom that they would have what you needed, and you look and you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, that would be perfect. I could use that to make that special box I was going to make to display something in. Excuse me. Like I said, the joys of allergies. Anyway, so whatever it is, you have to act on those visions. You have to act on those ideas and those aha moments, because when you do, you're going to notice that the more you're in tune and the more you're acting upon those messages and those ideas you're given, then the smoother things start going for you in life in general. Because that means you're actively co-creating. And when you're actively co-creating, it means you're actively learning, you're actively teaching others, and you're being fully into who you are supposed to be. And when you are there, then you don't have to have those knocks on the head to say, hey, what are you doing? Pay attention. You're not supposed to be a hermit in a cave, right? Excuse me. Anyway, so whatever it is, those ideas, they start creating a vision. And when they start creating a vision, sometimes those visions are really, really to the point to where they're almost scary, because they're bigger than what you know how to do today. And that's on purpose, because being given a vision that is just, okay, I can go out, I can go to the store, I can do that, I can get it done this evening. Excuse me. I swear it's allergies, it's nothing else. Anyway, so when we have that vision that scares us a little or a lot, it's a good thing, because that means we have the opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to become our highest potential, to become the person that we are meant to become. And that doesn't matter what age you are. If you're still alive and you're still here, you're still supposed to be growing and evolving, learning and teaching, and living to your highest potential. So don't get those false excuses in your head. Oh, I'm too old to do that. Or, you know what? Man, this is too big. I don't even know where to begin. Because nothing is too big. You're never too old. So, I mean, unless you are 95, a vegetable in a nursing home and in a vegetated state, you may not be learning as much as you're teaching anymore, but you're still here. So you're still growing and evolving. And for those that don't understand, when my grandmother was in that position, lying there in a nursing home, not able to move on her own, not able to talk, not able to open her eyes, to do anything for over a year, she still taught all of us in the family a lot of lessons. So don't think that just because you're too much past your 20s, or that maybe you're not in the best physical shape that you used to be in, that you cannot achieve what ideas and messages Spirit gives you, because they're giving you ones for you. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. My husband works in aviation on aircraft engines. Whether it's airplanes or helicopters, it doesn't matter. The engines that go on flying vehicles, right? And so if he has an idea on something to do about his work and in the engines and all of that stuff that he really loves, he's going to get that idea. I'm not going to get that idea, because it would be like speaking Japanese to me when I don't speak Japanese. That is not meant for me to do. My husband is also colorblind, so he's not going to be given that spark of inspiration about maybe what color of walls we should paint in the house next time we paint. He's going to look to me and say, okay, what color are we painting the walls? I'll go buy the paint and we'll start painting, right? So every idea you're given it because it's uniquely for you. So you may bring in other people along the way, but the idea is for you. So take note, write it down. And then when you get those big ideas and you don't know, where do I even begin? That's when you seek out a mentor or a coach or a mastermind to help you through that process. And that's why beginning in January, my yearly mastermind starts up again, Vivid Visionaries. You see it on the scroll at the bottom. And in Vivid Visionaries, we take 6 weeks and we take those big ideas and we break them down. And we use the metaphysics and we use the practical day-to-day procedures to where we can bring those visions into reality and begin that process of taking the scariness out of it being the big idea and bringing it down to where it's like, oh, I can do this. This I've got. And we take it step by step by step. And it's amazing how when you do that, that those huge ideas are not so overwhelming, are not so intimidating, and you actually get them done and you get excited about it. And that starts bringing in even more ideas, and you start bringing in more people, and you start expanding on those ideas. And who knows where they'll end up going? Just like I said, someone had the original idea for the internet. Now, that doesn't mean that that person is necessarily the person credited with inventing the internet, but that person helped bring it into fruition. So they did their part, other people have done their parts, and we have now what we call the internet. I'm sure if you went back 1950s and said, hey, pretty soon everyone's going to be on these little screens and they're going to be able to communicate across the world and on this thing called the World Wide Web, they would have looked at you like you were crazy, or it's like, oh, you're a sci-fi writer. So don't ever think that something is too far out there or too weird, because just like John F. Kennedy said, you have to take that moonshot. You have to be willing to say, I'm going to the moon and we're doing it by the end of the decade. When he said that, no one had a bloody clue how to make a rocket. But guess what? By the end of that decade, we had a man on the moon. So anything is possible. And sometimes, yes, you do need a group setting like a mastermind. That's why I have Vivid Visionaries that we get together at the beginning of each year and we really start getting these big ideas narrowed down into where you can see how you can grab a hold of them and make them your reality. And I'm going to post in the comments the link to my website page that will give you the early bird special if you want to join the 6-week Vivid Visionary Mastermind. And the early bird special price is only good for so long, and then it's going to go away. So grab that while you can. But take note of all those ideas you get. Some of them may just springboard you to another idea. Well, if this is possible, maybe that's possible, right? Or if we could do this, then maybe we could also do this. So you may get an idea of holiday season's coming up. You may have an idea of how you and your family can come together in a way that's not going to risk anyone's health with the pandemic going on, right? You may come up with an idea of how you can share your joy and love for those that you care about in ways that you can't, because you can't go to a lot of holiday parties this year and do a lot of that type of interaction. So maybe there's some inspiration you'll have of how you can show your love for everybody and then not have to worry about the pandemic coming into play. So in part of this pandemic, part of the lessons for this pandemic is reimagining how we live, reimagining how we communicate, reimagining how we connect, reimagining what feeds our soul and what gets us excited and what we do for all areas and all aspects of our life. So reimagine. This was a year of inner reflection. What works for me? What's not working for me? And what do I really want out of life? In 2021, it's a year of implementation of how are you and how are we as a collective going to move forward. We're not going back to 2019. We're moving forward to 2021 here in just a few weeks. How are you moving forward? What ideas has Spirit given you about how to move forward, what to create in the new year? What goals do you really want to set? And what are your deepest dreams and desires for your highest potential? Think about it. And when you think about it, write down the things that come to your mind or speak them into your phone. It doesn't matter, but keep track of those things that come into mind and lets you know, hey, this is something to think about. Okay? So keep those journals. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Click the link below in the comments and join Vivid Visionaries Mastermind. And that way we can take your goals, your big ideas, and start making them your reality. And that's priceless. So until next time, take care and keep expecting miracles. And I will see you then. Bye-bye.